Well, we all know that Palantir is a great stock, but the question becomes, should you be buying the stock near all-time highs, or do you need to wait? Well, we got some on Wall Street saying buy at all-time highs, which in the past hasn't always worked out for us as retail investors. So let's see exactly what they're saying. I'll let you know my thoughts on why they believe it to buy right now at near all-time highs, and I'll let you know my take on buying at these all-time highs as well and the reasons behind it. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth out the hype, because that's exactly what you're going to get today. All right, real quick here, I didn't realize 4th of July is actually like just in a few days here. So we just extended the summer sale. Some of you guys weren't able to jump in on time of it anyways. So we extended it through the July 4th holiday here. So make sure you check it out. Lock in your price for life as long as you stay a member. If you want those free courses, free coaching, direct access to me, everything involved. We'll talk about it there at the end. Check it out. It's the pinned comment down there. But it does expire after the July 4th holiday weekend here. All right, well, let's jump into the video here and see exactly why they think you should buy at all-time highs. What are my thoughts on that? And then, of course, I'll give you my thoughts overall on if I'm interested in buying at all-time highs or not.
Our panel to talk all about Palantir. When we saw this stock up 500% and it's hitting new highs, Larry Ted Torelli, Chief Technical Strategist, Blue Chip Daily, and Hillary Kramer, Founder, CIO, Kramer Capital Research. Thank you both for being with us. Right now, it's at $141. Hillary, is it still a buy in the long term?
Long term, short term, you want to own Palantir. This will be how wars are fought. Palantir is how all data is collected and organized, and AI doesn't mean much of anything without Palantir's information. And Palantir is the first of the AI companies.
It's been up about 500.
Okay, I don't know what the heck she's talking about there. Palantir isn't all AI. No, all data does not go through Palantir. I don't know what the heck she's talking about so far. Maybe she'll give us some clarity here. But these are the kind of things you got to watch out for from these Wall Street folks, especially whenever they have a bullish trade on. Remember that these guys always are talking their books. That's been known for a long time now. These guys are talking the trades that they have on right now. And when you start seeing people discuss things that kind of are just factually false and saying them as if this is why you need to own the name is because of these great things that just aren't true, that right there is where you kind of get in trouble there. I'm not saying that Palantir is not great or anything else like that. That doesn't negate the fact that what she's saying just is factually not true so far, at least. Remember, you got to cut out the crap from the bulls and the bears, right? The bears put out false stuff all the time. Hey, that's great. That doesn't mean that the bulls can put out false stuff too, and you should just be okay with that and not okay with what the bears do. No, that's why I say ignore the noise all the way around.
Percent over 1 year. It's gone from $21 up to $147. There are certain who have been on board. Your thoughts?
So I'm still bullish on Palantir. I was bullish the last time that I was on. The stock's making new all-time highs today. They put up a very strong quarter. Revenues grew by 39%. Earnings grew by 80%. They raised guidance. They're a leader in AI. They're a leader in defense technology. They've got all the momentum, both in the fundamentals and in the price.
Yeah, again, neither one of those or, well, you could make an argument for the fundamentals being there. I believe the fundamentals are there long term, but the price, definitely the fundamentals are not there to justify the price at this particular stage. Doesn't mean they can't get there or anything else of that nature. But again, this is kind of more that you got to read between the lines. And when we're talking about fundamentals here, you got to understand exactly what fundamentals mean. And then, of course, be able to translate it across into price targets and valuation and everything else.
So when you think about what drives this, I mean, Larry, when you think about the AI revolution, is this the beginning? Are you looking at names like this one, many names, or is Palantir something special? It's at $141 today. Your thoughts on where this really could go?
I think Palantir is something special because they're a leader in AI-related data analytics. So what they do is very specialized. They've got a lot of high-value government contracts. So I'm very bullish on AI overall, stocks like NVIDIA, Taiwan Semi. So AI is a bullish theme, but Palantir is very specialized at what they do, and they're really locked in as a dominant leader. So I think the stock is a buy right here.
All right. So I agree with this premise. I think they are unique. I think they have their own unique space. I think they are the one and only in that space. It's kind of them. And I'm sure there's some copycats out there, some things that are similar, but nobody in the ballpark of Palantir. Agree completely. Now, obviously, he has it as a buy as well. I'll let you guys know here shortly whether or not I do or not. But if you're buying based upon the fact that, hey, I want the leader and I want the one that is differentiated from everybody else in the AI, obviously the AI revolution, all that good stuff like that, they're kind of funny, some of the, the names they come up with this stuff. But nonetheless, if you're wanting the leader and somebody who's clearly differentiated themselves from everybody else, absolutely, it's kind of Palantir or nobody, in my opinion. Of course, like I said, there's a couple that are kind of in the ballpark there. But in regards to the scale, obviously, that they do it at, and with the precision and the way that they do it, there's nobody out there like Palantir at this stage.
Yeah, and obviously government contracts and things like that to keep it propped up, Hillary. But the concern here is whether or not the valuation is just too high. When do you know when to get in or whether or not it's a good one for the long term?
Look, it's always hard to go into a stock when it was for sale 18 months ago at $10. Okay, and so you've missed.
Yeah, I would agree. That is hard to do, but you cannot go off of the past, right? You cannot go, well, I could have bought it last week at this price and now it's at this price. Doesn't matter. What happened in the past is what happened in the past. What does matter is that valuation piece. So I agree so far with what she says. We'll see what else she says after this. But so far, what she says about kind of the mental hurdle that you have to jump through, everybody does. I still to this day have to jump through those mental hurdles of, oh man, I was able to buy that stock at X price, a little while ago. Now I'm looking at a much higher price, regardless of what the stock is. And that right there is where you got to kind of recage it, go back, forget about those other buys and go, okay, today, is this one of the best places to put my money? Am I getting a deal on this stock or at least paying fair value for this stock? And then I choose to move forward from there. It's a day-to-day discussion. The moment you start looking back at that, that's where folks would look back and go, well, I was able to buy Palantir in the sixes, and then they wouldn't touch it at $9, $10, $12, whatever the case was, because they didn't want to overpay, despite the fact that, well, they weren't using valuation as their guide. They were using past buys as their guide. And you can't do that because sometimes Wall Street just gets dumb. You can use Palantir as an example, like I just gave. You can do it with every single stock in the stock market there. Just go back to those 2022 lows and some of the crazy pricing we saw in stocks back then. Like a Meta, for example, where you're able to buy it at $80. Hey, that's great. But it was also a steal deal at $100, at $150, whatever the case is. And you can definitely look at the returns right now with it pushing way past $700, kind of marching up towards 1,000 and kind of go, well, yeah, it was still a great buy at 150, 200, 250, 300, and so on. So that right there is where valuation matters, not what the past price does, not what you paid before, not what your average is or anything else of that nature. All those games like that are the things that keep us as retail in the doghouse and prevent you from maximizing your returns. You got to use that valuation piece.
Over 1,400% return, but that doesn't mean it can't possibly go up another 1,400%, which is a hard discipline. But
right there is where retail gets slaughtered. I would agree over the long run, and we're talking 20 years here, another 1,400% gain is possible. That puts the stock price at $2,000 approximately, if I'm just doing some quick mental math here, right around $2,000 or so per share. I don't think there's anybody in the most bullish scenario that you could possibly lay out that has it at $2,000 per share. That's Tesla bull level bullishness on, our Tesla bull right here on this channel in regards to, bullishness on the stock itself and where it could go. And that sort of thought process is somebody's buying it today because she didn't put timelines or anything else on it. She just kind of set it. That's kind of, well, that doesn't mean it can't go up another 1,400%, which is true. However, I'm not sure I could expect that over a 20-year time horizon. Possible? Absolutely. Of course, a lot of things can break their way, but a lot of folks will buy it with that sort of expectation now that, they do the quick math and go, oh my gosh, that's $2,000 per share. I can still buy it today and it's still cheap. True, but can you endure the 20-year journey in between, right? Can you endure the fact that it might very well continue to run up here a little bit and then trade flat or down for a period of 2, 3, 4 years? Ask Tesla shareholders about that, right? It's a tough journey from 2021 until today with Tesla stock. Really, really tough. Can you deal with that journey in between? That's kind of the thing that gets left out is, you're right, I think long term, and we're talking 10 years, 20 years from now, I agree, this price is going to look cheap, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to get the price cheaper based upon valuation. And it also doesn't mean that most folks can stomach that in between. And a lot of folks aren't honestly thinking 20 years into the future. I know a lot of you guys right here on this channel are, because we're long-term buy and hold investors, but a lot of folks who are going to buy that narrative and put numbers to it are going to place that, well, maybe she means that by 2030. Maybe she means that by X date or Y date, or I really need to retire by then. So if we could just do that by the time my retirement date hits. So that's kind of one piece of the pie. And then, of course, the other piece of the pie is, can you handle the journey in between, especially with a stock where the valuation is so stretched like it is right now? That right there becomes the true test of a long-term buy and hold investor. If you're going to implement the strategy of buying a stock whenever it's significantly overvalued, can you hang on and live through what comes whenever you buy in that situation?
Again, is that Palantir, with their ability and with deep analytics, and then to make sense of the analytics, and then to take the analytics to step further and to create patterns and understanding. Look, cybersecurity, cyber terrorism, cyber war, that's the future, Nicole. So as long as we have a company like Palantir, they are going to continue. First of all, they're going to be able to have pricing power in terms of what they charge because they're in such demand. Originally, isn't it so ironic that Palantir for years did not perform as a stock because there was concern that they could not tell the investment community exactly who they were working for, what they were doing, very secretive about their technology. And now we've all come to discover that Palantir is behind so much in the United States alone, leaving aside everywhere else. It is domestic, it's
I know most of us right here in the retail community knew all that sort of stuff years ago. So again, nothing's really changed for us, right? They've just continued to execute just like they were before. I don't see them being any less secretive. I just see Wall Street finally got over themselves. The AI hype train left. Palantir got their growth rate kicked up again, and the timing couldn't have been any more perfect with the AI trade coming on and everything else of that nature. So yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe she feels this is amazing and new, but for us, I know we've known this all for a very long time.
Homeland security, and then it's, of course, global security, and we need that more than ever. So if you combine the political instability, the political turmoil, all of that's taking place, especially in the Middle East.
Which is all nothing new that's gone on in the world for the past, I don't know, hundreds of years. So again, nothing new here.
Palantir has a role that is so critical. It's just as critical, if not more critical, than every single defense company from Raytheon to Lockheed Martin.
And right there is why, again, retail gets slaughtered, because folks like this come on and say stuff like that. That is the most ridiculous, not the most ridiculous comment I've ever heard from Wall Streeters, but pretty darn ridiculous. Sorry, AI means nothing if we don't have the planes to fly it, the weapons and all the other actual physical tools in order to actually execute on whatever the heck Palantir can do. Matter of fact, a lot of those tools can work without Palantir. It doesn't work in reverse, right? In terms of actual defense and everything else when we're talking about weaponry and things of that nature. So absolutely silliness at this stage from this lady. More importantly, she was asked a question about valuation, right? So what was her answer in regards to valuation? A bunch of, 100,000 foot level geopolitical talk. Nothing about how they're going to increase earnings to justify a higher valuation in the future. Nothing about what they could potentially charge and what other markets they could potentially tap in the future. Nothing that actually answers the question as to, hey, how do you justify this valuation right now? Just a lot of platitudes and a lot of just general high-level geopolitical stuff and of course statements that made absolutely no sense and were completely false as to her reason why, the valuation's good. Trust me. Numbers don't matter. Don't worry about numbers. Just worry about these narratives that I spit out here. That's the kind of stuff that just gets us killed as retail investors because we fall in love with the story. We fall in love with the narrative. But if you don't have the fundamentals there, and I'm not saying Palantir's fundamentals aren't great, they are. But if you don't have fundamentals there to support another 1,400% run in the future here, it's not going to happen just because she says, well, it's dangerous out there and geopolitically there's all these wars and political unrest and everything else. Yeah, I guess welcome to the real world. I don't know. It's been that way for a long time, but oh boy.
Yeah, and I know you wrote in your notes that this was the Microsoft of defense. It really very high on this name. I mean, let's get some final thoughts here, Larry. When you think about the group overall, where do you think opportunity may be when it comes to AI or tech?
So in tech, I like semiconductors quite a bit. We've seen some big breakouts. NVIDIA made new all-time highs today. Broadcom's making new all-time highs. Semis are very strong. Cybersecurity is very strong. CrowdStrike's making new highs. Also, I like the communication services. Netflix, Spotify, they're making new highs. There's a lot of strong stocks out there in the growth space.
Do you like?
Yeah, appreciate giving me the recap on what stocks are making all-time highs out there. Thanks. But I understand what he's saying. Those have been good trades. Most of those companies are actually excellent companies as well. Obviously, it comes back to the question that we'll answer here in just a second. What is the valuation? How do we place that? Where are all those stocks in relation to that valuation as we move forward here?
All those names. Hillary, how about you?
I think some of these new IPOs, including Circle Internet, have much higher to go. We have Chime, and then, of course, some other companies in cybersecurity that we're not as familiar with, CyberArk, Cyber, for example, NICE and ICE, which even though it's a platform.
Pretty sure this lady would be bullish on anything with the word cyber in it. I don't know. Just putting it out there.
And an AI company, it still has the aspect of it of keeping the end-to-end user safe. And with authentication coding, all of that is very important, and those will continue to do very well. And that's not to say, of course, NVIDIA is an excellent one to buy. Qualcomm.
Yep, thanks so much.
I agree on Broadcom.
All right, Hillary, Kramer, Larry Tentarelli. Wonderful to see you both, Hillary and Larry. Thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and stop the video right there. And kind of my first question is she related to Kramer? I mean, those were very Kramer-esque statements and very Kramer-esque analysis on the stock there, on the market and everything else. I don't know. They just seem kind of familiar there. Who knows? I don't know if there's any relation or not. I have zero clue. Comment down below if you guys have any idea. I definitely do not. All right, so let's answer the question about Palantir. And is it a buy at these particular prices, close to all-time highs? Where is that in regards to valuation and everything else? Now, and I'll give you guys two answers actually to that question. For me, when I look at it, the valuation is stretched by any metric you use. There's not a single metric that says undervalued, not one. So for me, I have no desire to touch stocks when they are overvalued, much less when they're significantly overvalued, especially when you already have your position built out like that. Remember, I have my position already built out, plus bonus shares. I don't need any more. So for me, it is extremely overvalued. I feel like I will get better pricing at some point in time based upon valuation. So I'm personally holding off, but I also don't need to own anymore. If I never buy another share and it just runs to the moon forever to $2,000 per share like this lady says, okay, great, I'm going to make a lot of money. Otherwise, I don't have any desire to really buy any when we get this sort of valuation stretch in the stock itself. Doesn't mean it can't go higher. Doesn't mean, obviously you can tell both these folks obviously have Palantir on, a bullish trade on Palantir on right now. So they have every single incentive to come on here and say that. And obviously the strength in Palantir proves that that's exactly what's happening. Those are trader gains. That's what traders are doing with the stock. I'm not interested in that. I'm a long-term buy and hold investor. That's why I have an average under 10 bucks, despite the fact I bought it every single year from 2022 forward. Every single year, including last year, guys. You can pick up shares last year in the 20s. You pick up shares last year in the teens, actually, if you can believe that. So that right there is just basically where I like to pick up shares as I'm building on a company. Now, do I think we'll see teens again? No, I do not. So then the question becomes, what do you do if you're trying to build out a position, right? Hey, you don't have any shares. Hey, look, that's great, but I don't have a full position. How the heck do I buy this stock then? That's where, especially if you don't understand valuation and price targets and all that sort of stuff, that's why I have the group so we can get in depth in that, teach that. There's so much involved in that. It's not easy at all, but it's definitely where you get that alpha. For those folks who just don't want to do that, or maybe it's just difficult, or maybe you're very emotional about the stock market, a lot of other things of that nature, you just don't have the time, right? We're all busy. Everybody's got a life outside of this. And so that way, that's why if you're going to buy, just do a simple DCA and move on, because you will outperform over the long run, not in the short run, right? Sometimes you do, depending upon when you started your DCA and all that good stuff. But over the long run, if I was going to buy, the only reason why I would be buying Palantir at these levels is simply because I was performing a DCA. So if I've been doing a DCA, I would just continue right on DCAing. If I wasn't doing a DCA and I was looking to start, that right there would be my strategy until I got more familiar with price targets and valuations and everything else like that. And remember, the sale for my group is going on through the end of this weekend here. We extended it through the end of the weekend here, July 4th weekend. Check it out down there if you want those free courses, free coaching to help you with all that. You want to be able to jump on our live Q&As, slide into my DMs, talk to me there. Be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there. I put out 3, 4, 5 videos or so a week that are just exclusive to the group there. They don't ever get released here to YouTube, and so much more. Make sure you check out the pinned comment, see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching. and we'll see you in the next one.